Hello everyone. Welcome to Synapse, your learning hub. Today, we are diving into a fascinating topic in biology, nitrogen fixation. Have you ever wondered how plants get their essential nutrients from the air? Well, that's exactly what we'll uncover. We'll start with the basics, then gradually explore the intricate mechanisms and profound importance of this process, taking you on a journey from easy concepts to competitive depth. Let's begin. Ready to discover how plants eat air? Let's start with the simple science behind nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation is a super important process where nitrogen gas from the air, which plants can't use directly, gets changed into a form they can use, like ammonia. This converted nitrogen is absolutely vital for plants to grow, and since we eat plants, it's vital for us too. Imagine, most of our air is nitrogen, about 78%, but it's locked away from most living things. It's like having a treasure chest, but no key. So, why can't plants use this abundant nitrogen gas directly? Well, atmospheric nitrogen, or N, has a super strong bond between its two nitrogen atoms. It's one of the strongest chemical bonds known. Plants just don't have the special tools, or enzymes, to break this bond. But don't worry, nature has a solution. Special tiny helpers, mostly bacteria, act as these nitrogen fixers. They convert the N gas into usable forms. A great example is Rhizobium bacteria, which live in special bumps called root nodules on plants like peas and beans. They work together, the plant gives the bacteria a home and food, and the bacteria give the plant the nitrogen it needs. It's a perfect partnership. Now, let's test your understanding with a few quick questions. First, what percentage of the Earth's atmosphere is nitrogen gas? Second, what is the main reason plants cannot directly use atmospheric nitrogen gas? And third, name one type of bacteria that helps in nitrogen fixation and an example of a plant it associates with. Take a moment to think about your answers. Alright, let's go a bit deeper. We'll now explore the different ways nitrogen fixation happens and the key players involved. Nitrogen fixation is the absolute first and most crucial step in the entire nitrogen cycle, making atmospheric nitrogen available to all living things. Without this process, life as we know it would simply not exist, because nitrogen is a fundamental building block for proteins and DNA. There are three main ways nitrogen fixation occurs. The first, and arguably most important, is biological nitrogen fixation, carried out by microorganisms. Then there's atmospheric nitrogen fixation, which happens during lightning strikes. And finally, industrial nitrogen fixation, a man-made process called the Haber-Bosch process, used to create fertilizers. Delving into biological nitrogen fixation, we see two main categories. Symbiotic fixation involves bacteria like Rhizobium living in close association with plants, particularly legumes, forming root nodules. This is a mutualistic relationship where both benefit. Then there are free-living bacteria, such as Azotobacter and Clostridium and even cyanobacteria like Nostoc that fix nitrogen independently in soil or water. The key enzyme responsible for this incredible feat is nitrogenase. This enzyme is highly specialized and unique to these nitrogen-fixing microorganisms, requiring a significant amount of energy to break that super strong triple bond in nitrogen gas. The nitrogenase enzyme, while powerful, has a major weakness: it's extremely sensitive to oxygen. Oxygen can permanently damage and inactivate it. To overcome this, many nitrogen-fixing organisms have developed clever strategies. For example, in the root nodules of legumes, the plant produces a protein called leghemoglobin, which acts like an oxygen scavenger, maintaining a low-oxygen environment to protect the nitrogenase. This symbiotic partnership is a fantastic example of coevolution. The plant provides a safe, energy-rich home, and in return, the bacteria supply the fixed nitrogen, enriching the soil and reducing the need for artificial fertilizers. It's nature's way of sustainable farming. Time for some medium-level questions. First, what is the primary role of nitrogen fixation in the nitrogen cycle? Second, name 2 types of biological nitrogen-fixing organisms. Third, explain the difference between symbiotic and free-living nitrogen fixation. Fourth, what is the key enzyme involved in biological nitrogen fixation, and what is its main sensitivity? And finally, briefly describe the symbiotic relationship between legumes and rhizobium bacteria. Think through these carefully. Alright, let's elevate our understanding. We are now going to explore the deeper biochemical and ecological aspects of nitrogen fixation. At a molecular level, nitrogenase is not just one enzyme, but a complex 2-component system. It consists of the Fe protein, which acts as a dinitrogenase reductase, and the Mo-Fe protein, the dinitrogenase. The Fe protein's job is to transfer electrons from a donor molecule to the Mo-Fe protein, a process that consumes a significant amount of ATP, that's cellular energy. The Mo-Fe protein then takes these electrons and uses them to bind and reduce the atmospheric nitrogen gas into ammonia. Remember, this entire enzymatic process is extremely vulnerable to oxygen, which can irreversibly shut it down. So, these tiny organisms have evolved fascinating ways to cope with oxygen, like creating low oxygen environments or having very high respiration rates to quickly consume any oxygen present. The ecological significance of nitrogen fixation cannot be overstated. Biological nitrogen fixation is the primary natural source of new nitrogen input into both land and aquatic ecosystems. It directly replenishes soil nitrogen, making it available for plant growth and thus supporting the base of almost all food webs. This process also helps to balance nitrogen losses that occur through denitrification, where other bacteria convert nitrates back into atmospheric nitrogen gas. So, nitrogen fixation is constantly working to maintain the global nitrogen budget, ensuring a steady supply of this vital element. It's a critical part of Earth's life support system. Let's compare biological nitrogen fixation with its industrial counterpart, the Haber-Bosch process. Biologically, nitrogen fixation happens under ambient conditions, meaning normal temperatures and pressures, relying on enzymes and cellular energy, ATP. It's a natural, environmentally friendly process. Industrial fixation, however, requires extremely high temperatures and pressures, along with a metal catalyst, and it consumes a vast amount of energy, typically from fossil fuels, leading to a significant carbon footprint. Both processes produce ammonia, but their energy sources, operating conditions, and environmental impacts are drastically different. This topic beautifully connects to enzymology, cellular respiration, ecology, and even environmental science, showing how interconnected biology is with other scientific disciplines. Now, let's tackle some harder questions. First, describe the 2 main components of the nitrogenase enzyme complex and their roles. Second, explain 3 different strategies nitrogen-fixing organisms use to protect nitrogenase from oxygen. Third, elaborate on the ecological significance of biological nitrogen fixation in the global nitrogen cycle. Fourth, compare and contrast biological nitrogen fixation with the industrial Haber-Bosch process in terms of conditions and energy sources. Fifth, why is the overall reaction for nitrogen fixation said to be energy-intensive? Sixth, what is the role of leghemoglobin in symbiotic nitrogen fixation? And seventh, how does nitrogen fixation counteract nitrogen losses from denitrification? Good luck! Alright, prepare to dive into the deepest layers of nitrogen fixation. We are going to explore its molecular intricacies, genetic controls, and the cutting edge of bioengineering. The molecular mechanism of nitrogenase is truly a marvel. The Fe protein, or dinitrogenase reductase, is a homodimer containing an iron-sulfur cluster, and it's responsible for binding ATP and transferring electrons. Each electron transfer event costs at least 2 molecules of ATP, highlighting the immense energy demand of this process. These electrons are then passed to the Morphe protein, the dinitrogenase, which is where the magic happens. The Morphe protein, a complex heterotetramer, contains unique metal clusters, including the crucial FeMo cofactor, which is the actual site where atmospheric nitrogen binds and is reduced to ammonia. The entire reduction of one N molecule to 2 NH molecules requires 8 electrons and consumes a whopping 16 ATP, demonstrating the significant metabolic investment by the cell. The genetic regulation of nitrogen fixation is equally sophisticated, controlled by a suite of genes known as *NIF* genes. In well-studied organisms like *Klebsiella pneumoniae*, over 20 *NIF* genes are organized into multiple operons. These genes encode not only the structural components of nitrogenase but also electron transport proteins, enzymes for cofactor biosynthesis, and, critically, regulatory proteins. Key regulators like *NIFA* activate *NIF* gene transcription, while *NIFL* acts as a repressor, sensing and responding to oxygen levels and the availability of fixed nitrogen. This tight regulation ensures that the cell only invests energy in producing nitrogenase when nitrogen is scarce and oxygen levels are safely low, preventing wasteful energy expenditure and enzyme damage. The diversity of diazotrophs, the nitrogen-fixing organisms, is astonishing, spanning both bacteria and archaea, allowing nitrogen fixation to occur in almost every conceivable environment. Symbiotic associations are not limited to legumes and *rhizobia*. We also see *Frankia* bacteria forming symbioses with non-leguminous trees like alders, and cyanobacteria partnering with ferns like *Azolla star. Beyond symbioses, free-living diazotrophs include aerobes like *Azotobacter*, anaerobes like *Clostridium*, various photosynthetic cyanobacteria, and even some chemolithotrophic archaea. This broad distribution means nitrogen fixation is a truly global process, contributing to nitrogen input in diverse niches from oxygen-rich soils to anaerobic aquatic sediments and even extreme environments. The environmental impact of nitrogen fixation is profound. While industrial nitrogen fixation via the Haber-Bosch process has been pivotal in feeding billions by producing synthetic fertilizers, it comes at a high environmental cost. It consumes 1 to 2% of the global energy supply, contributing significantly to greenhouse gas emissions, and nitrogen runoff from these fertilizers causes widespread eutrophication and oceanic dead zones. This has spurred intense interest in enhancing biological nitrogen fixation, which is inherently sustainable and reduces reliance on fossil fuels. Bioengineering efforts are now focused on transferring the complex *NIF* gene cluster into non-leguminous crops like cereals or improving the efficiency of existing BNF systems. However, overcoming the challenges of establishing anaerobic conditions and providing sufficient energy in plant cells remains a significant hurdle, requiring deep engineering insight and biological innovation for future food security and environmental sustainability. Let's challenge ourselves with the first 5 hardest questions. First, detail the specific roles of the Fe protein and Morphe protein within the nitrogenase complex, including their metal clusters and ATP requirements. Second, explain the significance of the *NIF* gene cluster and how *NIFA* and *NIFL* regulate nitrogen fixation. Third, discuss the diverse ecological niches occupied by different types of diazotrophs, providing examples for each. Fourth, analyze the environmental trade-offs between industrial and biological nitrogen fixation, considering energy consumption and ecological impact. And fifth, why is the production of H considered an obligatory side reaction during nitrogen fixation, and what does this imply about the enzyme's efficiency? Here are the final 5 hardest questions. Sixth, what are alternative nitrogenase pathways, and under what conditions are they typically expressed? 7th, propose a bioengineering strategy to enable nitrogen fixation in non-leguminous crops, outlining the major challenges. 8th, how does legmoglobin specifically protect nitrogenase, referencing its molecular mechanism? 9th, discuss the implications of nitrogenase oxygen sensitivity for the evolution of nitrogen-fixing organisms. And 10th, considering the global nitrogen cycle, what would be the long-term ecological consequences if biological nitrogen fixation were to cease completely? Think critically and provide comprehensive answers. And that brings us to the end of our journey through nitrogen fixation. We've covered everything from the basics of how plants get their air food to the intricate molecular machinery and global impact of this vital process. I hope you found this exploration as fascinating as I do. Remember, understanding these fundamental biological processes is key to appreciating the complexity of life on Earth. For more engaging lessons and to continue your learning adventure, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting educational content. Keep learning, keep exploring, and see you next time.